Hey everyone, this is Wei and welcome back. Let's do another pretty face drawing, and this time it's this person, and I don't know who she is, but she's got really beautiful eyes. So let's get started and I'll talk about the process along the way. Alright, so let's draw this pretty face, and I'm just gonna start out with her right eye. And I know this is kind of a strange method to some, but it's kind of fun, you know. It's not too serious. Alright. So you just kind of go for it. All right, so I'm just gonna draw this. Let's see, make sure I'm in frame. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, the reason I'm drawing this is because, yeah, I just saw this and it's just like really pretty eyes. I mean, obviously there's a lot of photo retouching. So, all right, next eye, kind of one space. Looks like, yeah, maybe slightly a little bit wider, so that's probably correct. And then there's this overall slant, right? So it's kind of going down a little bit. That's why I went down this way. So our eyes are very symmetrical. That's why it's very pretty. All right, and then eyebrow here. I'm looking at the angle, kind of like this. This. All right, so just kind of marking, you know, references. So here I'm checking the corner, going to the eye, just kind of checking the angle of the, you know, where the brow is. All right, let's refine this a little bit. It looks okay. All right, going straight down. If you go straight down from the corner of her eye, vertical, kind of meets up with the wing of her nose a little bit inside, and then we can judge it from this angle. I'm just kind of trying to copy from the corner of the eye, maybe at that angle. So we know the nose is gonna be right here, the wings of her nose. So that's a very good way of, you know, trying to find the distance. And then we go straight vertical, we kind of hit the wings of the nose. So it's probably a little bit lower. Because once you start drawing, then you'll find, you know, little things that are off. And then you can double check, like here's the wings of her nose. If I check it with that angle, it looks okay. Okay, and I wish I can be more accurate, but again, it's just a matter of you being able to see if you can see these angles or not. And I hope I got it fairly close. And if I don't, that's okay too. All right, vertical, go straight from the eyeball, go straight down. It kind of hits the corner of her mouth, so it's kind of right here. And we can do, let's say the angle is kind of steeper, so it's probably somewhere right here. All right, her lip. And I'm judging from this angle as well. So there's a lot of little things you can measure, right? You can kind of, you know, find certain spots that you can kind of close up, you know, to go too far. Or if you do go too far, kind of like going back up to the eye, make sure you just kind of go vertical, right? Because the vertical is a lot easier to see, you know, vertical and horizontal. So when things are crooked, you know, you can tend to be able to spot that a lot better than, you know, these angles. So, all right, so keep going. See her lip, lower lip. Her teeth right here, I'm not gonna draw. At least not yet. And her lip kind of like that. All right, let's see if that should be okay. So I'm gonna go, let's see, the side of the face. I'm gonna go this way first because it's a little bit, you know, this side of the face is a little bit wider. So it's a little bit harder to gauge. That's why I'm gonna try to do this side first. All right, distance here. So you can measure like kind of this distance and going back out here, how far it goes. So it's kind of like maybe somewhere right here. Yeah, maybe a little bit too far. And then her chin, you can kind of find some kind of distance. You gotta give you double from here to the lower lip. It's probably a little bit more. So that's kind of how you can measure these things. Okay, lower chin here. Make sure I'm in frame, in the camera. Okay, kind of goes in this way. Actually, I think her chin's a little bit sharper. Yeah, all right. So here's always a little bit tricky, right? Because it's all dark, and then I assume the hair is gonna be right here, but this area is gonna be all dark, so you can actually just kind of rough in some dark patches. All right, and then let's see. Okay, let's go on to the other side, the hair. now I'm just kind of very angular. I'm just kind of trying to figure out the angle here, like here, and then the top right here. Let's see, kind of, yeah, somewhere right here. If you go vertical, right? So we know it's gonna be turning right here. There's gonna be where the hair is gonna part. Here, middle. Okay, so that's kind of how we judge these things. And then let's see, going out. Hair. All right, so it's probably a little bit bigger than what I was anticipating to draw. So one of the drawbacks of drawing like this is, okay, hold on, let me fill in this hair a little bit right here. All right, so one of the drawbacks of this technique of drawing it this way, it's that, you know, you see right here, I'm running out of space on the paper, right? Because I started out with the eye as opposed to starting out with the whole face first. So that's one of the drawbacks. So if this matters to you, that you want to fit it into a certain area, then it's much better to draw, let's say, get another piece of paper. So another way to do it is to just kind of like do it like the envelope way. And you can actually sketch in her whole face first, kind of like inside the face. All right, the hair's outside right here. So it's kind of like this. I'm just kind of looking at the angles, and then you kind of slowly refine it, you know. So it's like here, and then you kind of have to check the. I mean, to me, this is obviously a little bit more difficult because now you kind of have to break down the shapes, right? So here's one eye, here, nose, right, and then lip, and then you can slowly go in and refine these shapes, these angles. And you can actually get a fairly accurate shape, you know, and you started out this way. Now I have much more room, you know, I know the exact size of the portrait that I want to draw. So, I mean, I'll do some drawings with this kind of technique too, because it is very useful, you know, because sometimes you want to confine it to a certain space, right? But for me, it's just like, you know, I'm kind of lazy and I'm a little bit impatient. I just kind of want to draw, you know, so it's like, I'll get on this drafting table, I turn on the camera, I just want to draw something without too much preparation. So that's one of the reasons why I do it this way. It's just a lot more fun to me, okay? All right, so now I think it looks okay. I mean, if nothing else, it's still a pretty face. So now I'm gonna go in and start shading this a little bit. All right. And again, I'm not drawing, you know, any kind of portrait to hang on the wall. I mean, this is just sketching, and if it doesn't look like her, it's okay. It's for really, you know, just for enjoyment of drawing, and also, you know, refining your techniques. Because every time I draw, every time I practice doing this kind of stuff, it helps me a lot. You know, I definitely can feel that I can see things more and more accurately, and my strokes become a little bit more sure, a little bit more confident, and it looks a little bit more professional, you know, when your strokes are sure, and it really, you know, pays off. And you get to have fun with it too. So, I mean, why draw something if you're gonna kill yourself? You don't want to grind through something, right? I don't know. Maybe you do. I mean, I see a lot of drawings that way, and people, you know, they sit there and they can do it for hours and days, shading little things. I mean, which is great, you know. I'm glad some people can do that, because you get some really nice, definitely a lot of wow factor, right, in your drawings. All right, so I'm just kind of spotting areas and start shading, a little bit of cross hatching here, okay, and here. Yeah, just really nice eyes. That's why. Maybe I should just spend all my time on the eyes. All right, moving on. So this is like the first pass, and you see me do a lot of this in my drawings. Once you have it, just move on to something else, and it's really good advice, because you don't want to, you know, spend too much time in any given one area. You want the whole thing to kind of develop in stages, you know, as a whole. And I know you see people draw hyper realistic. They don't do it that way, and that's okay, because, you know, they're drawing hyper realistic. There's really not a lot of style to it, right? So every patch is gonna be super realistic. So they can do it by patch, and at the end everything will just be hyper realistic, and which is okay. But if you want to, you know, have some kind of what you call it, kind of like a gluing factor, you know, some kind of overall look and style to it, then it's you have to jump around, you know. That way you can see the whole thing develop, and everything will be kind of matching up, so that doesn't look like, you know, things are just kind of floating, you know, in different parts. So, okay, here's the other eye. You know what? This is starting to look like, doesn't this kind of look like Britney Spears? Yeah. I know the reference doesn't, but you know, sometimes when you're drawing, certain characteristics comes out, and then you kind of recognize it, right? All right. So here, this part's a little bit darker. All right. So let's move on, because there's a lot of little. I don't want to spend too much time in any one area. Okay, her nose. In general, you hear me talk about this a lot. Don't overemphasize it, because you know the nose is not the most attractive part of anybody's face, and so if you make it a little bit too dark, you know, it's actually less appealing. And you see that kind of like this kind of glamour photo. You see how the nose is blown out, you know, the bridge of the nose, and they do that on purpose, you know, because it gets rid of the hard ridges right here, and it looks a lot more, you know, elegant, a little bit more attractive. All right, let's move on to her lip. Okay, just some suggestion of the teeth. Like, again, the teeth are kind of like the nose. It's just you don't want to overemphasize it. And if you do, if you end up making like these really dark teeth lines and things like that, it's gonna look like the drawing's gonna jump out and bite you and stuff. It's an odd thing. It's just one of those things. Yep. Okay. Underneath, it's always darker here, and I might have gone a little bit too dark, but it's okay, because it looks dark right now because there's nothing else going on. And once I darken up all these other areas, you'll see that it's actually okay. Yeah, it's starting to look like, actually it looks like Britney Spears or Jessica Alba. That's a strange thing. Right. Okay, and here, I'll cross-hatch a little bit. Yeah, it looks like Jessica Alba. Hey, which is a good thing. It's definitely very pretty. Okay, so this is just regular cross-hatching. So I'm gonna kind of finish this first phase, and I'll do the rest with a speed painting, because it's speed drawing. And the reason I do that is because it's a lot easier for me to draw without talking, and also I can just kind of concentrate on drawing a little bit more. It tends to go a lot quicker. All right, so this is the first phase, and it's actually, yeah, I think her eyes should probably be a little bit bigger. It'll be a little bit prettier, because yeah, I kind of missed that, because in the reference it's a little bit bigger. That's probably why he's looking like Jessica Alba right now. All right, so I'm gonna finish this off with a speed drawing, and I'll be right back to show you how it looks. Right, I'm back, and here's my final drawing for this pretty face. And I'm gonna leave the hair like this because, you know, my main focus was really just to capture her eyes, and I think it actually looks okay, and it actually kind of looks like her, so that's a good thing, because you definitely have a pretty face. So in terms of shading, I kind of shown everything on screen. Just basically, I use this is a 4B, and then I went in with the 6B just to give it a little bit more, you know, darks in certain area, just to push it a little bit more, but not too much. So overall, yeah, I think it turned out okay. You know, definitely very pretty eyes. So hope you guys enjoy this, and if you do, please do give me a thumbs up, and make sure to check out my other portrait videos too, because, you know, in each of my videos I always talk about, I mean, a lot of it is like kind of repeat the same information, but there's always like some little things I remember to bring up. So hope you guys like this, and I'll see you next time.